Our 1.5b, we are going to talk about the quadratic formula, the discriminant, and also completing the square. So if we have a binomial where we have x squared plus bx, we can add b over 2 squared, and that will be part of completing the square. So whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other to keep it balanced. So you would need to find out what the b over 2 squared is, and then add that to both sides to do the completing the square. And then you can factor it and then solve it that way. So we are going to find out what the number is that we need to add to this x squared plus 22x. So we would do the b over 2 squared. So the a is 1, the b is 22. So we would take 22, divide by 2, and then square it. So that'd be 11 squared, which is 121. So the trinomial is going to be x squared plus 22x plus 121. So this is the sum of squares. So 11 squared is 121, and then 11 times 2 is that 22. So this becomes x plus 11 squared. So the whole goal of this is to make it where you can have a perfect square, and then you solve it from there. So let's go over to this side. Example 4. So we have x squared plus 6x, and we are going to add something to both sides to complete the square. So we would take 6, divide by 2, and then square it, which would be 3 squared, which is 9. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. So plus 9, which would give us x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 27 plus 9. Do what? 36. Yeah. Okay, and then we would need to factor this. So 3 multiplies by 3 to get 9, and then 3 plus 3 gives us 6. So this is that perfect square trinomial, or perfect square of x plus 3 squared equals 36. Then we would need to solve this. So this is using the, perfect squares. Take the square root property. So we would have x plus 3 equals square root of 36 plus or minus 6. So then we have two equations. We have x plus 3 equals 6, and x plus 3 equals negative 6. So x equals 3 and x equals negative 9. We do need to check to make sure it's not extraneous solution. So we will do 3 squared plus 6 times 3. So that one works. And then we would do negative 9 squared plus 6 times a negative 9. And that also works. So we have our two answers of 3 and negative 9. Okay, let's go to example 4b. This is another completing the square. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over to the other side. So we have x squared plus 4x. I'm going to leave a blank and equals 1 because I need to know what do I need to add to this, or to both sides, really. So we do the b over 2 and then square it. So it's 4 over 2 squared, which equals 4. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. Oh, bless you. Let's go ahead and factor this. So it'd be x plus 2 squared equals 5. And then we need to solve it. So we would take the square root of both sides. And so we get x plus 2 equals plus minus square root of 5. Subtract 2 on both sides. We get x equals negative 2 plus or minus square root of 5. So that gives us both of our answers. Negative 2 plus square root of 5 and negative 2 minus square root of 5. And on the Pearson program, you can actually put in that symbol plus minus. And it might be a good idea to plug this in. I know it's not real fun. I did it earlier. Let's see. You'll need to plug this in to ensure you got it right. I messed up the first time I did this. I accidentally did a negative 1 plus a 3 and got 3, or negative 1 plus 4 and got 3. And then I realized that it was wrong after I plugged it into the calculator. So even just little mistakes like this, you can check your answers so that you can ensure it's the right answer by plugging it in. So we'll do negative 2. I'm going to do plus square root of 5. And then square it. Plus 4 times negative 2 plus square root of 5. And then minus 1. And it's supposed to equal 1. That's what it says, equals 1. Then you can go back up here, bring it down, and do where you have negative 2 minus square root of 5. Just to ensure that you did it right. Because it is easy to make those little mistakes and then the whole thing is wrong and you have to redo the whole thing. Okay, the next part is quadratic formula. So y'all remember? Yes. There is a song. Do y'all know the song?
Yes, and I will never forget the
X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. It's one thing you learned. Yes. That's good. You remember it. All right, let's do the quadratic formula on this problem. So a is 2, b is 2, c is negative 1. So go ahead and plug it in. I'm going to see how you do. Give you a second to do that. So what I would put in the calculator is what's inside that radical. Don't put the whole thing in there. Something important to remember is if this is a negative, make sure to put in parentheses. If it's not a negative, it doesn't matter if it's parentheses or not. So that's 12 and then over 4. Okay, we do need to simplify this. So we need to take that square root of 12 and simplify it. What is square root of 12? 2 squared is a 3. So we will rewrite this as negative 2 plus minus 2 squared of 3 over 4. And there's more. We can simplify it a little bit more. We have this denominator, so we can simplify it as negative 2 over 4, which would be negative 1/2, right? And then simplify this one, so it'd be plus minus 1/2 square root of 3, which we could have just left it like this. So either way of writing it is correct. They could be simplified by the same number. That's why we still have the same denominator. All right, the next slide, it says we can find the solution for a quadratic equation using quadratic formula. The discriminant, that is what tells us what kind of solutions and how many. So you could have no solution, one solution, two solutions, and then you could have imaginary solutions as well. So the discriminant is this b squared minus 4ac. And the reason why that tells you what kind of solutions you have is because it's in the radical. If you have a negative number in the radical, that means you're going to have it imaginary. Because a square root of a negative gives you the imaginary. If there's nothing inside, or 0, square root of 0 is 0, then you don't have a plus minus at all, so you only have one solution. Then if you have a positive number inside of here, you get 2 real solutions, which that's all written right here. So if it's greater than 0, so if this b squared minus 4ac is a positive number, then there'll be 2 unequal real solutions. If it comes out to equal 0, there's just one real and repeated solution. And then if this is a negative, then we'll have 2 imaginary solutions. So let's look at the example and see what our discriminant tells us about this one. So x squared minus 3x minus 2. So b squared, so this is our b, this is a, and this is c. So put that in parentheses, negative 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times a negative 2. So you can put it in your calculator, come out with your solution there. You can do it by hand. Negative 3 squared is 9. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times the negative 2 is a positive 8. Gives us 17. So the discriminant 17, which is a positive number, there are 2 rational solutions or real solutions because that is positive. Let's do the next one. B squared minus 4ac. A, B, and C. Negative 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times 4. Negative 5 squared, 25. Negative 4 times 2, 8. Negative 4 times, or negative 8 times 4 is negative 32. Which gives us a negative 7. So what does that mean if it's a negative number? Yeah. There are 2 imaginary solutions. Okay, we have 2 equations to solve here. We can use any method we want to. So it's your choice. You can do factoring and solving, completing the square, or quadratic formula. Quadratic formula works every single time. So I would use that. We do need to get this over to the other side. And set it equal to 0 and then solve it. So go ahead and do that. All right, y'all check your work with mine. So this probably could have been factored because we don't have that square root, the plus minus square root of, because it was a perfect square. All right, the next one. So we actually need to multiply these and get everything on the left side before we can do anything else. So we're going to have to use the box to multiply them. So we have 2x squared plus 11x plus 5 equals negative 3. So that was just multiplying those two binomials. So then we have to add the 3 to the other side. so that we get it equal to 0. Okay, so we have 2x squared plus 11x plus 8 equals 0 now. So we need to solve this. So what direction do you think we should go? Quadratic formula? Yeah. So x equals, go ahead and do that. I'm going to give y'all a time to do it. Did y'all get 57 inside that radical?
Yes.
Okay. Did that freak you out at first? Make you think you did it wrong?
Yes.
It did me too. Are there any perfect square divisors of 57? No. It was 56, yeah. All right, so there's nothing more we can do. 4 can't divide this. That radical can't be simplified. So that is our solution. All right, so your assignment should be on Pearson.